Welcome to Books, Dreams, and Financial Things, where we talk about marriage, blending our family, finances, and our dreams. We hope while sharing our journey, you can relate and learn with us and from us. Right here, so I kind of wanted to talk about where you feel your self-doubt kind of originated.
I would say, one of the things I think I've mentioned in other podcasts is it stems from as a kid, the confidence versus no confidence. I think that's very huge, from your childhood, the confidence that you have versus the non-confidence. And typically people with our kids, let's say, per se, in the beginning, kids with low self-esteem, and no confidence in themselves, a lot of times they doubt themselves. And so for myself, sometimes I hate going back because you have to go back to that time span. And I had a lot of doubt just as a kid, and I just didn't have any confidence that I could do anything or I could be anyone.
Do you think that stemmed from just the lack of parental guidance, or the adults in your life telling you things? Did they tell you anything that made you doubt yourself, or was a lack of telling you things, or where do you think?
Right. Everything's instilled into you from your parents, and because my situation, my earliest memory, like I've stated before, was me and my younger brother living with my mom on drugs, and so you go to school. And I didn't realize it, obviously at that age you think that's the life of everyone. But as soon as you go to another friend's house or something like that, then it brings in perspective. You're like, whoa, wait, they have mom and dad, they sit down at dinner. There's not as much arguing or fighting. And it seems like more love, know. And so, at a young age, I just remember always wanting, the family atmosphere, mom and the dad, and just not having that. And so, yeah, with parenting, it's not like my mom said anything to me directly that made me feel like I was to have doubt, but because the lack of, it's like a feeling. You can just sort of kind of feel it. I just know that, as a kid I always felt that way. What about yourself?
Well, like I've mentioned before, I would say I had a pretty great childhood in terms of with my parents and stuff. Like I always say, my mom is like my number one fan. She gasses me now.
Right.
So even as a little kid, I definitely was very confident inside the household.
Right.
Even at school until people told me not to be. And so my self-doubt came from my peers and unfortunately some teachers.
Okay.
Just saying little things and making me say like, wait, what? That's not okay, or I shouldn't feel like this, or.
Right.
And so I also think that's unfortunate. I think that, it sucks that, you could be in a household and not feel like you get that confidence from your parents. At least it wasn't like you can't do this, because there's some kids who have that, which is so, detrimental. But then to have like educators or peers say things that make you feel like, okay, maybe I'm not as, bomb as my mom has, made me feel, or whatever. That also, I think, can be difficult. So that's just kind of where mine started, and just feeling like, oh, maybe I can't do this, or, whatever the case.
That makes a lot of sense. It's just so, the more and more we have the podcast, the more and more we sort of kind of understand each other, because these types of questions aren't something that you would normally have in a normal conversation. I wouldn't ask you, hey, how did your teachers make you feel as a kid? But having this podcast is pretty cool because it helps give me even more insight on you. But it's crazy to think, because when I was in school, I always talk about the elementary school I went to, which was in Southeast San Diego, called Valencia Park Elementary. And from 1st through 5th grade, I don't remember having a bad teacher during that time span. And they're the ones who sort of kind of gave me the confidence in myself, like I always stated. I remember teachers, at that time saying that I was a leader, and it was just foreign to me because I never heard that, and I didn't understand why they thought that from a kid who was poor, I guess who looked poor, let me say that, poor hygiene, a lot of those types of things, and they would say stuff like that, and it built me up. But then in your case, your parents built you up. But then you went to school and you had teachers that sort of kind of tried to tear you down. That's interesting.